It is now 5 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting of the WISD Board of Trustees to order.
They don't care. Go ahead.
Please let the record show that a quorum is present and this meeting has been duly called and the notice of this meeting has been duly posted for time and manner required by law. At this time, the board will enter into closed session according to section 551.001 exec of the Texas Government Code. It is now 5 p.m. Reconvene back into open session. First item on our agenda will be our invocation given by Mr. Schofield, followed by our pledges by Mr. Rogers.
Shall we pray? Father, thank you for the opportunity we have to gather in this nation. Put forth our best foot of our community. I ask that you help us to keep the lives of our children and our staff, our taxpayers at the forefront of our decisions. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Next item on our agenda is our open forum. This is the portion of the board meeting where the board receives input from patrons. Each person who addresses the board will have 5 minutes to speak on their issue. Because of posting requirements of the Open Meetings Act, board members will not ask questions of the patron nor answer any questions posed by the patron. No action can be taken on any issue presented during the patron comment section of the board meeting. Patrons addressing the board will be notified when they're approaching the last 60 seconds of their allotted time to speak. When I'll call your name, please step to the podium and state your name and address. We have 2 individuals signed up to speak tonight. Our first one is Nicole Westhoff. State your name and address for the record, please. I will be the one keeping the time, and I will let you know when you have 1 minute, okay?
Okay. Nicole Westhoff, 202 Gallup Court, Waxahachie. In light of Governor Abbott lifting the mask mandate, I'm asking you to join the other 45 school districts in Texas that have ended their mask requirements. Their school boards met and voted to allow each individual to choose what is best for their children's health. While I'm not here to discuss how effective masks are, we truly don't really know if they're actually working. But what I do know is that my son is suffering. This is having a severe negative impact on his mental health, which is in turn affecting his performance at school. We tried to do the virtual learning, but that did not work. He needs face-to-face instruction. Is that any less important than what the masks are supposed to protect him against? Also, the Texas Education Code, section 37.0023, it states that no aversive techniques are allowed, and it lists a bunch of things, and it includes covering a child's face with a mask. So why is this prohibited as an aversive technique, but it's allowed to be enforced upon the general population of our students? If parents want to continue to mask their children, I fully support that 100%. It is their right, as it is mine and my child's to breathe clean air and to see facial expressions. Facial expressions signal the mirror neurons in the brain, which help develop empathy, and that's really important in our society. Our children are our future. To deny them this is dehumanizing at the very least. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Please vote to end the mask requirements.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Brad Burns. State your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, sir, sure will. I'm Brad Burns, 3208 Howard Road here in Waxahachie. Good evening, Board President Autry, Superintendent Dr. Kane, and also trustees. Again, I'm Brad Burns. I live on Howard Road with my family. I've been blessed to live in our community for almost 20 years, and I personally want to thank you for your leadership and your service and your commitment to our students, staff, and our community. I stand before you tonight as a parent of a current WISD student, as well as a past student who's presently working on her doctorate at Oklahoma State. I'm a retired educator with 33 years of service as a teacher, coach, 14 years as a secondary principal, and I recently retired as an athletic administrator responsible for UIL compliance, NCAA eligibility center, facilities, and 4 high schools and their feeder patterns. My wife Jennifer and I are lifelong professional educators. We're staunch supporters of public education and very thankful for our hardworking teachers and the staff. After reviewing with the district officials and several stakeholders, I've asked, why is it necessary to build and open a second high school in WISD after opening a new building just 3 short years ago? I've been told, overcrowding. It's been shared the new high school is bulging at the seams. We must react sooner than later to provide relief. I understand and can relate to overcrowding concerns, having experience as a principal. I did ask my daughter and her friends who walk the halls every day, and they have not experienced the overcrowding. Maybe they're in the wrong place. Upon reading the Templeton demographic report, it's obvious that the substantial increase in enrollment for WISD is inevitable. As a result, you're proposing the old WHS, which is Coleman, become the second high school, drawing high school attendance lines and placing kids in a dilapidated building with serious infrastructure issues such as clay pipes, exposed conduit, cast iron pipes, sewage issues, and these are some serious concerns. Bond money used to refurbish is placing lipstick on a pig. It could push our school district into possibly creating a scenario of haves and have-nots, new school versus old school. I've also been told, and I read, additional opportunities. Students students have never been denied educational academic opportunities here in Waxahachie, and I'm proud of that. So I asked, what are the additional opportunities? And it was declared sports. Having a smaller enrollment would drop us in classification for now until we grow past that again. We struggle with filling all of our junior high school athletic teams as is. If sports are driving us, that's fine. But let's make sure the community is totally behind this fundamental idea, much like Frisco did in the 1990s. I've been told teachers want their classroom for conference periods. It's my understanding that WHS was built as a college setting concept. I also understand the survey was completed by WHS teachers, and it was determined that the staff wanted their classrooms for their 93-minute conference period each day. Elementary teachers, for comparison's sake, they get approximately 45 minutes per day. If this is the case, the high school classroom would sit empty for 25% of the instructional school day due to teacher conference periods. Some possible solutions: allow WHS students to attend Global High School for those additional opportunities. For all WISD students would surely happen then, taking full advantage of the free early college high school, including textbooks, tuition, and fees to attend the college. Global High School is tremendously underutilized. Presently, global students are not allowed to participate in UIL band, choir, athletics, but they compete in UIL 9-3 academics. They all could participate in both worlds then. Appendix 1 of the UIL Constitution Contest Rules, official interpretation of the UIL State Executive Committee, allows magnet students, which is global, to participate at their home campus. We could also adjust the high school schedule. The present high school schedule eats up unnecessary classes and personnel units. Our sports daughter and our band daughter spent 25%, one-fourth of their high school career in athletics or band. She and others are required to graduate with 26 credits. We're expected to take 30 to 32 courses during 4 years of high school because of the present schedule. 8 courses per year times 4 years is 32. It's not 36 or not 26. Why not adjust to a modified block schedule similar to Allen High School, Georgetown, or even Duncanville? It saves personnel units for teaching and benefits students. Students would take 5 classes in a day, the first and last period of 60 minutes, with athletics during those periods, while periods 2, 3, and 4 are 90-minute block periods, and they double block each other, just like what we have now. Modified block only requires the necessary 26 classes for students, not 32, and allows students to take additional classes during school. My kids, our kids, spend more time in sports and band than in math, science, or languages, and still have to take additional classes outside of WHS just to graduate. And that's a fact. Finally, build a 9th grade academic grade center adjacent to WHS to ease the overcrowding. My findings are somewhat limited in scope, and I continue to come to the same conclusion that WISD is opening a second high school for athletic reasons and teachers wanting their classroom for conference periods. If this bond should pass, I don't want my daughter, our daughter,
Mr. Burns,
at the old WHS.
your time is up, sir.
Yes, sir. While the other kids in the state-of-the-art educational facility. I'd imagine most parents would feel the same. I once again implore you to consider not turning the current Coleman Junior High into a second high school. Our growing community deserves better.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burns.
Thank you for the opportunity to share it tonight.
Okay, next item would be item 5, Human Resources. James? Ms. James, if you'll go ahead and just make your entire presentation, and then we're gonna take it all in one motion. Okay.
So good evening, Board. I would like to ask that you approve the hiring of a teacher coach who will serve as defensive coordinator and an assistant principal to fill a vacancy at Waxahachie High School. We also ask that you approve the elementary teacher contracts and coordinator contracts as discussed in personnel report presented by the superintendent in closed session. Also ask the Board to approve the change to the salary structure for a change in assignment as presented. And I also ask that you approve a special education position request to work with a one-on-one student.
Any questions or comments for Mrs. James? Okay, at this time, Board, I'll entertain a motion to approve items 5A, B, C, and D as presented by Mrs. James.
I move to,
Go
sorry. I move to approve the Human Resources report as presented.
I have a motion by
Second.
Mrs. Starnader, second by Mr. Schofield. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. For the record, Mr. McCutcheon had to leave the meeting early.
And Mr. President, may we introduce you to 2 people the board just hired?
Absolutely.
First, I'm going to let Coach Tully come in and introduce his defensive coordinator, and then Ms. Harris, after he does, I'd like for you to introduce the new assistant principal at Waxahachie High. Coach, you got anything to say about your new defensive coordinator?
Well, I tell you, it's not every day that you can pay things forward in life, and
Stand up.
I hope I look like that at 55.
You do need that tie. That's a nice tie.
But when you tell people that you're a product of high school coaching, Eugene Rogers, with a lot of other coaches, helped raise me today and to the man I am today. And it's just only an unbelievable honor for me to be in a position like this, to pay it forward and hire a man that not only believes in the same defensive philosophy that I do as far as faith, family, and just stewardship. And I think that he brings unbelievable assets to the community of Waxahachie, and I'm proud that he's a part of our staff.
And I believe we got doubly fortunate in
Well,
this.
we did, because he brought with him his better half.
Okay.
And I get the honor of having her as my new assistant principal. Ms. Rogers, would you please stand? She's currently teaching in Denton and has been had an amazing career following her husband as he coached all over the state. And she taught Spanish, and it was a blessing. I got to interview her twice, and really excited about the opportunity to have her at WHS. She loves kids. She has a passion for learning, and she's going to be a great addition to WHS.
Can you teach Miss Harris Spanish? Would you do that? We need one of those crash courses, okay?
We don't think we have that kind of time.
Sometimes we think she's speaking Spanish, but she's actually speaking English. She just talks real fast. Welcome to both of you. Good choice.
Okay, next item will be our recognitions. Mrs. Bridges, I believe we have several tonight.
You need all of these. I'm gonna get her. Can you hold?
Good evening, board. I'd like to first ask Dr. Philip Morgan to come up to recognize some very special band kids.
All right. Dr. Kane, Dr. Everett, esteemed board members, and Principal Harris. It's my pleasure to come forward tonight and recognize our TMEA All-State Band performers for 2021. Some 72,900 students, let's echo that one more time, 72,900 students from around the state of Texas began vying for honors to be one of 15 TMEA All-State Ensembles, bands, orchestras, choir, and by the end, only 1,780 out of 72,000, are selected, representing the top 2.4% of elite high school musicians in Texas. High school students selected to perform in the All-State concerts have competed through multiple rounds of virtual auditions this year, and if you understand how much fun it is to be in person so you feel it and do it and see it and the judge is there, imagine how complicated and stressful it was this year to have to do it virtually and self-criticize yourself over dozens of recordings to send the right one. But these students have. The TMEA All-State distinction is the highest individual honor a Texas musician can receive in their high school career. On average, the Texas state average on the SAT is a 1022. The national average on the SAT is a 1059. The average of the Texas All-State 6A TMEA band All-State is 1328. A perfect composite score is a 1600. If you need another data recognition towards our fine arts students who are All-State musicians, a perfect score on the ACT is a 36, and one of the two students you'll see today scored a 34 a couple months ago. These students, our Waxahachie ISD students, have higher academic success, stronger aptitude for socio-emotional understanding, significantly higher organizational and leadership skills than their peers because of their grit, determination, and dedication in fine arts activities, but specifically tonight in our music studies. First, if they're present, I would like to welcome up our Waxahachie High School ISD band staff who have worked with these students to prepare them for these honors. Mr. Rich Armstrong, Mr. Justin Bell, Mr. Reggie Cook, Mr. Parker Davis is working this evening with students who can't be with us, and also Ms. Denise Armstrong is here with us as well. Please give these individuals a round of applause. Since I know that Mr. Armstrong and staff will back me 100% on this, we have these parents. I know they usually recognize you at the end, but since we've got it this way and I'm trying to hurry, if we have some parents or private lesson instructors who are with us tonight, students, would you please rise so we can recognize your dedication to our students? We love them, but we pay it down. The fact that you bring them to rehearsals and demand that they reach the excellence that they set for them is unbelievably appreciated, parents and supporters, so thank you for that. I will recognize our students in efficient fashion. First, Mr. Ethan Brown, please come forward. You can give a round of applause. Ethan qualified on trumpet this year for the Texas TMEA All-State Jazz Ensemble 2. This is his first year in qualification. Ethan Brown, one more round of applause. Druval Rangrej. Druval is a junior and serves as drum major for the Spirit of Waxahachie Band. This is his first year to make the All-State Band. He's also involved in TSA, where he competes in structural engineering, animatronics, and visual events. Druval ranks in the top 10% of his class and wants to pursue a degree in mechanical aerospace engineering and work for SpaceX. Druval. Let me move over here. There we go. Clara Moriarty. Clara is a sophomore, and this is her first year as a TMEA All-Stater. She is ranked first in her class and is part of the student council and HOSA. She sees herself eventually pursuing a career in the pharmaceutical field. Clara Moriarty. Leah Gonzalez on the oboe. Leah is a sophomore. This is her first year as an All-Stater. She is in the top 10 of her class, part of academic decathlon and the UL computer science team. She envisions herself pursuing a career in computer science. Leah Gonzalez. First-year All-State French horn, Owen Bartosh. This is his first year as a qualifier. He is part of the Student Council, Interact Club, UIL debate, and journalism events. Owen sees himself as a career in political science, running a political consulting firm, and eventually running for office. Hallelujah. Owen Bartosh. You're getting a good shot of this right now, right? You're watching all the political. That's good, good, good. Richard, I always say this wrong, but it's Olakode, correct? Olakode. I said it wrong the first time. Richard Olakode. Come on in, Richard. Richard is a junior and serves as a section leader in the Spirit of Waxahachie. This is his second year to earn an all-state recognition as a tuba player. He currently wants to pursue a career in music and is working diligently every day toward that goal. Congratulations, Richard. Johnny Fuller is a senior and serves as a drum major for the Spirit of Waxahachie Band. This is her second year to earn a Texas All-State chair. She's in the top 10 of the senior class, part of NHS, is involved with her church. Johnny's long-term plan includes earning a master's degree in business to pursue a top position in a large company in marketing or management. Johnny Fuller. In his second year as a TMEA All-State musician, Logan Boyd. Logan is a senior, serves as section leader in the Spirit of Waxahachie Band. This is his second year to earn the All-State honor. He's in the top 10 of the senior class involved with his church. He will pursue a career in the field of computer science, possibly with a dual degree in computer science and music. Logan Boyd. You wonder the kind of dedication it takes to make it as a first-year All-Stater. It's insane. To make it 2 years in a row is unprecedented. To make it 3 years as an All-Stater is unheard of. And Emma Watson has done just that. Emma is a senior. She serves as a section leader in the Spirit of Waxahachie Band. She's ranked in the top of the senior class, and she's involved in HOSA and NHS. She'll be attending Texas Tech with her guns up next year with the intent of pursuing a career in occupational therapy. A 3-year All-Stater, Emma Watson. And I'm glad I'm reading this next one because I don't think either our band director or our color guard director could get through it without being very, very proud, which if I were the parents of this student, I would be unbelievably proud as well, as we are of all of our students. Liliana Armstrong on the B-flat clarinet. Liliana is a senior in her second year serving as the lead drum major for the Spirit of Waxahachie Band. 2021 marks the 4th consecutive year that Liliana has advanced to the TMEA All-State Ensemble, making her the very first 4-year All-State musician in Waxahachie High School since TMEA began keeping records in 1940. This is truly an exceptional accomplishment because there's only a handful of seniors across the entire state and across all 3 fields in band, orchestra, and choir who can claim this deed every year. She is currently ranked first in the senior class at WHS and part of both National Honor Society and the Spanish National Honor Society. She volunteers locally, is involved with her church in a leadership capacity, and will pursue a degree in biology in a pathway to becoming a surgeon. One of the few out of the 2.7% that made it to All-State, I would say she's part of the 0.02% to make it all 4 years. A 4-year All-Stater, Liliana Armstrong. To be an All-Stater obviously is a great thing, but I want to take a moment because of the situation that we've been in recently in the Texas legislature to say how lucky we are and how thankful we are as band members and fine arts students, faculty, and administrators in the great support that our board gives us so that we can honor our musicians and all the work that they put in alongside their teachers, parents, and staff. Thank you again, All-Staters 2021. Find a window. Just find a window with your face. There you go. Yeah.
Y'all look over here at me first, please.
If you want to quickly take your mask off, you can.
Ready? Okay, ready?
Find the way. Here, here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We're just trying to make it for the rest of the year.
Board, next I'd like to invite a couple of special guests from the city of Waxahachie. We've got Emergency Management Coordinator Thomas Griffith and Mayor David Hill. Come on up.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So, Board, Superintendent, I'm here really to thank you for the fantastic job that these guys did on February the 16th. Just to set the stage a little bit about what happened that night. Such a beautiful day today, but as you remember, that was probably, well, that night when I took this picture, it was -2 degrees as we were loading the last patient. So to just tell you the story, the evening before, we were having the rolling blackouts, and one of our nursing homes was affected, and they were off and on with power throughout the day. The facility kept getting colder and colder, and the amount of time it had electricity was less and less. And I was on the phone with our representative from Encore trying to make sure we had power for them. They had a generator. The generator had failed. The fire department came out and got the generator up and going for them. But the situation just kept getting worse. And my last conversation before we made the decision to evacuate the nursing home was, if you don't have power now, don't expect it. So we made the decision late that evening to evacuate the nursing home. And we brought in an ambulance to move out all the stretcher patients. But we had 62 patients in that nursing home. We had 19 that had to go out by ambulance or by ambulance. And then we had other patients that could walk. But we were looking for a way to get the wheelchair patients out. It just took one phone call. I called Philip, and he said, "We'll be right there." Sorry. I'm a little emotional because as I looked out, I had 30-something patients in very frigid conditions, wrapped up in blankets, lined up down this nursing home. And to look out and see those school buses coming down the road meant a lot. I really thought we were going to get into a very bad situation. So the fire department helped load. Your guys pulled up there, did a fantastic job on a night when no one should have been out at all. Your guys came out. They heated those buses. They were very careful with the patients. They helped us load the patients. They locked them down in the wheelchairs. And like I said, this is the last one. So I've asked the mayor and city council to recognize your bus drivers that did that tonight. So Honorable Mayor David Hill will present.
Could we go ahead and have them come up here so
Yeah, that'd be great,
they can
guys.
be facing the mayor? And we'll let Mr. Durkee.
Yeah, let me. So once again, thank you guys. And so Philip Girk. And I was worried about his name.
Go ahead and say his name.
Ron Przybałski. Did I get close? Okay. All right. And here, let me have Steve Tiger and James Burton. Yeah, James Burton. I didn't get to know the guys that night. It was hi, here's patience. But you guys did a fantastic job. I can't tell you how many lives you saved that night by doing what you did.
Very scary.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to tell you, they made 3 or 4 trips, several or a number of patients each. We kept changing it up on them. Can you take more? Can you take more? They loaded them in and ran them over to the hospital where the hospital was still warm. So really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is this yours, Mr. Griffin?
Yes. Good job.
Thank you. So, Board, that's just such a wonderful example of how our school district and our city work together. We have a great partnership. So those bus drivers went above and beyond during our winter storm, and we have some other employees that did as well. So I'm going to ask Mr. Raul Gomez to come up and recognize those folks.
Good evening, distinguished board, Dr. King. It's with great pleasure that I'm here tonight to recognize 7 of the most outstanding employees anybody could have. I'm just going to call you all up, so just please come on up. Mr. Frank Medina. Mr. Frank Medina has been with the district a long time. He is our head plumber. He did Mr. Jesse Morales. Mr. Morales helps Frank out every single day. Alicia Malagon, she works with our custodial department. And Mr. Andy Reeves, he's one of our head supervisors. Mr. Stephen Mott. Mr. Jeronimo Suaste, another supervisor. And Ruthie Baez, our custodial supervisor. All during the storm, every time I picked up the phone and I called one of these people, they were there. They came out in weather that was real bad. Excuse me for being emotional, but very, very proud of y'all. From Frank coming out and walking all our schools, every single school and campus and auxiliary campus with Mr. Andy Reeves and Mr. Steve Mott, they walked every single campus and reported back any issues and everything that we had. Mrs. Malagon was there, cleaning up right after them, just doing everything that she could to make sure that our kids could come back on Monday. Ruthie and Geronimo, despite being without power for, 72 hours or more, They were on the phone. They would go out everywhere that they needed to. They would find whoever they could to bring them in to do just the best that they could, or they did the work themselves. Very, very proud. And thank you for working for WISD.
Y'all squeeze in just a little bit so we can get a good picture. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, board, just a couple more. Great job, guys. I'd like to ask Rusty East, principal of Felty Elementary, to come up. There you are.
Good evening, Board. I am excited to recognize one of our outstanding staff members tonight. As you know, Felty is loaded with outstanding faculty and staff, and I'm so proud to be working alongside of them. But tonight, I would like to recognize one of our staff members who has gone above and beyond this year, in a year that's been unpredictable and required us to be flexible in an ever-changing COVID situation. And this staff member has been quick to do whatever we have asked and done it with a smile and a wonderful spirit. In the morning, she's there to greet the kids as they come in. She helps with lunch duty daily. She also sees her groups, and she's right there willing and ready at dismissal. So throughout the day, if we have an unexpected situation, we can depend on this staff member. I can't say enough about how much I appreciate her. Our instructional aide, Mrs. Amber Richmond.
Ms. Richmond, should we get one with your family too? Yeah, sure. And finally, I'd like to ask Mr. Derek Zant, principal of Finley Junior High, to come up.
Good evening, Dr. Kane and Board of Trustees. I'm here to recognize Ms. Robin Ruthhart, one of my counselors at Finley Junior High. You can come on up. As a counselor, there are many roles and responsibilities that go on throughout their day. What makes Robin stand out the most is her dedication to building relationships with our students and staff. When she enters the building at 7:30 in the morning, she makes a point to be visible for her students. She's in the cafeteria in the mornings before school. She is at every passing period and all 3 lunch periods. At the end of the day, she works our back porch pickup line waving at parents. She doesn't do all these extras because she is told to. She does it because she knows the importance of being available to our students. She's also always available to our parents and staff members when needed. She is loyal to myself and Finley, and I couldn't be more blessed to have her as a friend and a coworker. Thank you, Ms. Ruthhart. You definitely deserve the Warrior Award for this month.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, next item around the reports will be our technology report.
Dr. Kane, board members. Submitted the information to the board, and I hope you had some time to review it, and I'm here to just see if you have any questions that I can answer.
I'm seeing, what percentage you are, Mr. Daniel, to complete. What is the expectation as far as having the different areas complete?
I was trying to pull it up.
Well, I'll just work with first one, 25% complete to date on the work with staff to implement the ITIL processes. I mean, what is the expectation?
Our expectation is by for the end of the fiscal year. That's what all this is based on for me.
Okay.
A lot of it's based on our DIP, our district improvement plan.
Right.
So I've followed that along with it to make sure it's in line with what we're doing in the district.
End of fiscal year? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions or comments on the information submitted by Mr. O'Daniel?
I just hear lots of people happy with technology, so good.
Well, you're
job.
sitting by one of them.
I was just going to follow that up, it's been nothing but positivity, and thank you for everything you've done for our children in our district.
I'm having a blast. It's good to be back. It's good to be around people again.
And more importantly, he and his staff didn't just come in to do good deeds and make our department better. He is training our staff in a way that we've not had before, and that is, you're making a lot of leaders there for us and problem solvers, and that on top of the work you're doing. Thank you very much.
It's great. The staff here has been a pleasure to work with too. I've known so many of these people for so long, but the technology staff, they're a great group of people.
Thank you very much.
No other
Mr. O'Daniel.
questions? All righty.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Okay, next item on the reports be our prom, graduation, and last day of school schedule. I know there's probably several people online have been waiting for this.
Well, actually, it's not like we've been stingy with trying to get the date out. We just didn't want to give dates that we couldn't live up to. We needed to wait till a certain time, and actually, when this came out, Mr. President, the governor had not spoken. We may have had it in press, but it was too late to change this. So, assuming nothing happens like another -2 degree week, anything that we've not been able to manage more with than we have been able to with COVID, the Waxahachie High School prom will be held on Friday, May 14th. The Waxahachie Global High School prom will be Saturday, May 15th. The Waxahachie High School graduation will be on Friday, May 21st at Lumpkins. Waxahachie Global High School graduation will be Thursday, May 20th at Lumpkins. This is the statement that, because of the governor, as of today, graduating students will be able to have 8 tickets each if nothing changes. I actually meant that in case we had a reduction in the ability to give 8 tickets, but what we're hoping for is that we will be able to open up Lumpkins fully and that there will be no tickets. That it will be like it was every year except last year, which was come one, come all. Now, the last day of school for students for 2021, and again, it's a good thing we kind of waited to give this out, because until the snow days, it was going to be Monday, May 17th, but now it will be Tuesday, May 18th, and it will be a full day for students. That's if the creek don't rise and...
So barring any unforeseen instances, graduation will not be
Lord willing
limited.
and the creek don't rise.
There will be no limitation to the attendance of graduation.
Okay, now it's time. My guarantee can only be as much as Mr. Aubenshine can predict the governor's whims.
At this point, the honest answer is we don't know. And I tried to call TEA today and left a message, and either I'll get a response back or we may just receive something as the state. But the governor's order, ultimately, while it had a huge effect on the rest of the state, item 6 on the 3rd page of Order GA 34 told us, school districts, to follow the standards set forth by TEA. TEA updated their standards for in-school activities. did not give us a graduation plan. Last year, we acted under their graduation plan. It was most recently updated in July of last year, which was after we did graduation. I do believe we'll receive something, some guidance that specifically relates to graduation, because there are a lot of districts that don't do as we do, and we have been accustomed to outside graduations for Waxahachie High School. A lot of districts generally have indoor graduations, smaller schools, you name it, where they can, have all weather conditions. They're in the same boat as us, waiting for additional guidance. So at this time, we know we can go up to at least 50%. We know we can go up to at least 8 tickets a graduate. We hope to not have any limitations at all. We hope to, as Dr. Kane said, have one, come all, as we have every year since 2019 and prior. Anyone that wanted to come could come, up to the 10,000 person stadium limit at Lumpkins. We hope to be able to do that. We can't guarantee that yet, but as soon as we get guidance from TEA, we will provide that to y'all and then to families.
Yeah. So we're firm on the date and hopeful of the number of tickets.
Questions or comments about all the information that was just presented?
Is the prom at the Civic Center this year?
It was originally at the Civic Center, but that was in April. We tried to do the prom as early as possible, the prom dates, but when we wanted to move it to May because we were afraid, again, we're not certain why we've been so successful with COVID, but not having a prom and that kind of a evening we were worried about. So Ms. Harris, I'll let you pick up the story from, we were at the Civic Center.
I called the Civic Center, and they did not have any available dates through August for us to have prom, either on a Friday or a Saturday evening. They were totally booked, and we reached out to a venue in Red Oak called the Hamptons, and he is actually, the gentleman that owns it is actually from Waxahachie. His kids attend school here in Waxahachie. He was very gracious, allowed us to come take a tour. It's a very nice, brand new, very modern facility. I really feel like the kids will absolutely love. It will accommodate our need at prom, and he gave it to us at a very nice price that the students will be able to afford a ticket and everybody will be able to attend. Because of current, when we did, I will say when we reserved it, that was before the new governor's order, and so we were still at 50% capacity, and so this year's prom was just set for seniors only. We will not have a junior-senior prom because of that restriction.
Ms. Harris, where did you say it was? I'm sorry.
The Hamptons in Red Oak. It's right off 35 at Avila Road.
What's the
And
total
it has
number?
an outdoor facility that's all gated, real secure. They have adequate lighting, adequate parking, facilities for us to bring in a caterer to have, food for the kiddos and everything, just like we would normally have for prom.
Total number of seniors this year?
Roughly with high school choice, we include high school choice, we're looking at right at 535.
Anyone else?
Dr. Avett, I think Global's prom is going to be at Global?
Not certain of the
Okay, not certain of the venue, but we will have a Global prom even if it's at your house.
Dr. Kane, when is the last day for staff?
I believe it's June 2nd. Let me look. Yes, June 2nd. So they would be working, that Monday actually is Memorial Day, and then the 31st of May, and then the teachers come back for 2 work days. We have a tentative calendar that, okay, I've looked at it 100 times. You guys help me remember. We have 4 total teacher work days. We have 3 C&I staff days and 1 job-alike days, like all the elementary first grade meet and all the secondary science meets. And then in the morning and then the afternoon, it's like all the ESL people meet together, all the coaches, all the fine arts, vocal music, instrumental music. And so there'll be a schedule for job-alikes. The principals have 2 days, 1 day, 2 days, 2 days. And that could be a combination. One principal may have a training all day of like, let's work on our handbook. Another may have teachers assigned by groups, I want everyone to come up with your first week lesson plans when school starts, or anything. It's principal discretion. So that takes care of 4 and 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11. And they're kind of mixed in there. Like you start out with 2 teacher work days and you end with 2 teacher work days. Then I think it's principal day, PD, principal day, 2 teacher work days to kind of break it up.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Yes, I'm sorry.
Dr. Kane, this might be a good place to mention our the idea we had, since we're talking about prom and graduation and taking photos.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Darnader. The mask thing is very controversial. I feel strongly that one thing that's made us successful is our mask policy. Of course, the enforcement by the teachers, the support of principals, and we've been very good about that, and I think that's what's possible. Now, Ms. Mott is looking at maybe if we could back off on some, if the pre-K, K1 and 2, if we can see that those numbers are down, she may be revisiting that. But at the secondary level and other levels, if you have pictures, and I don't mean if one kid's taking a picture of another kid, if the prom pictures, the CTE, let's have a group picture, the band, that if kids want to take off their mask for that picture, because every parent wants to see their kid's face in the picture. They don't want to see, yeah, I think that's my kid. That looks like the mask my kid was wearing. But if principals would kind of make certain that that doesn't get too carried away, that when the band pictures come, everybody keep your mask on, get in line, get together. Is everybody standing where they're supposed to stand? Okay, take off your mask, take the picture, put your mask back on. That's what is okay. So our group pictures at elementary, Ms. Foster, have you done your group pictures at the elementary, or are we?
Yeah, that already happened.
Okay. But if there's other events or whatever, when we can, it's one of those memorable pictures that you want parents to have, they can take off those masks and put them back on.
Anything else? Okay. Next item on our reports will be the college career, military readiness, seniors and scheduling requirements.
Oh, and I have a text, Global's prom is at the Ellis County Event Center.
Let's see. I may need some help pulling this up from the guys in the back. There it is.
Oh, ask and you shall receive.
I know, they read my mind. Thank you, Board. I have with me our CTE Director, Mr. Dustin Binnicker. We're going to talk to you a little bit tonight about CCMR, College and Career Readiness, and a bit of an overview on that. And then we're also, we'd like to talk about a proposed or a change in how we do business really at the high school related to schedules for kiddos who do not have a CCMR point. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Binnicker, and I'll jump in every now and then if I feel like I need to emphasize something.
Thank y'all very much. So I put a slide up here just to give you a brief overview of what CCMR is, what this entails, and all the team members that are involved in this effort collectively. So I met with these departments all today, most of them, to really show that it's a team effort. It's all these departments that come together that work with our students to make sure that when our students leave us, they truly are prepared for college, career, or the military. So from assessment accountability, lots of data, lots of testing data, lots of certification data, lots of scores, classroom data, the instructional piece of that. With counseling, we've been doing a lot of work with them, looking at four-year plans, identifying what a student's pathway is, the programs of study within CTE, and so that was a big effort this year to do an electronic four-year plan. So we got a lot of that accomplished earlier this year. Our counselors they have a huge role with academic advising, and they play a big piece in this. And we talked with them today about this. When they're meeting with kids and they're talking out what a student's plan looks like, what does that four-year plan look like? Where do all these things kind of fall in place? And so how can we make these students be successful while they're here with us? So whether it's a certification through a CTE class, or if they're in classes where they're going to take the AP exam, dual credit classes where they're taking the TSI test. These are all areas where students can earn the CCMR indicator points. So I thought it was important for us to show all the departments that are involved in this effort here. 40% of the district's accountability report card comes from CCMR. So the college career military readiness is a big piece of what we're doing at the secondary level. 20% being the graduation rate, and the other 40 comes from the STAR tests. So for us, it truly is making sure that students are prepared for a pathway when they leave us. So it's our responsibility to make sure that they've done the things that they need to do before we turn them out in the world. Like I said, we want to make sure that if they want to go into a 2-year or 4-year program, that they've taken the certification, or excuse me, taken the TSI test to make sure that they can meet the college readiness standard. If they're going to earn a certification through CTE, we prepare those kids over 3 or 4 years within our programs to make sure that they get the certification before they leave us. We take care of these certifications for them. And if a student opts to go to the military, then we want to make sure that we've given them the ASVAB, the opportunity to meet with a recruiter and bring those people on campus to come and talk with our students. So I did some data digging a couple weeks ago. This is current as of March 1st when I sent this report to you guys. So I looked at the seniors district-wide. 727 seniors that we have right now, 331 of those students have not earned an indicator at this point. So there's a lot of moving pieces with this. And when you start looking into the data, we have 23 of those 331 that are sitting in a class right now that's an AP class. So they could take the AP test. So there's still an opportunity for those students to earn their indicator that way. 49 students that are sitting in a CTE class that aligns with an IBC, so industry-based certification. And so some of those we can't do until the end of the school year. So cosmetology, those students will go and test at the very end of the year. They've got hours they have to earn. They have hours they have to clock to make sure that they've met all the requirements for that class. So they have to wait until a little bit later. Same thing with pharmacy tech and our health science practicum students. They can't do some of these exams until later in the school year or the beginning of the summer. And then there's some programs like education and training where the student has to turn 18 before they can even go and apply for the license. So there are some of these things that they're up in the air right now, and we're trying to keep track of those kids that will drop off of this 331. The interesting numbers, once I started digging a little bit further, is that we've got 259 students that are currently not sitting in a class or somewhere to earn that CCMR indicator. And so those are the kids that when I talk with the counselors today, we've got to go and find those kids and figure out what their plan is when they're leaving us. I don't want to send these kids out into the world unprepared, and I feel like we're doing that by letting the kids go off. So I broke that number down a little bit more. 75 of those students do not have a CCMR point, they're not in a class that earns anything, and they have off-campus periods. So we're letting kids leave school early, and they're not ready to leave school, truly. I broke that number down a little bit more. We have students, 33 of that 75 haven't met CCMR, they have no opportunity to earn it, they've got off campus, and they go out in the community and they're doing community service, which is a great program that we have here in WISD. I'm in favor of that program. I've talked with those teachers today as well, and we're trying to figure out some ways where we can do some certifications or something that provides better service for them when they go out into the community to do the community service that they do.
So this is what we're looking at. Looking at that data on the previous slide, and knowing our responsibility to get students ready to leave us and to be prepared either for college or career or military readiness, we're looking at a proposal, and we've talked to the high school principal, Ms. Harris, and she's talked with their counselors to not allow a student to have an off period unless they have their CCMR requirement met, or they're enrolled in a class where they can get that CCMR point. We know there may be some potential negative ramifications of this. We know that it might be possible that we may have more students on campus at the end of the day. It's possible that career prep students may not be as afforded as many off periods for on the job as they do right now. It could happen. And we know that there may be some students and parents that are resistant to this change, that an off period your senior year or 2 off periods your senior year sometimes can be seen as a bit of an entitlement. I worked real hard for 13 years and I want to take it easy the last year. As someone who knows how tough it is when you go to college, it's probably the wrong thing to do is take it easy before you leave. You need to keep your foot on the gas. Where'd you push to make the go?
Bottom corner. Oh, wrong one, sorry.
We believe the positives outweigh the negatives. We believe that if every student that we can possibly get to have a CCMR point is going to be good for the child, that we'd have every child prepared best we can. We improve low performance and close the gaps between student groups. It has serious accountability implications for our district and for that campus. As Mr. Benniker talked about, 40% of that rating is CCMR related. Ensures also that WISD is working towards the 60 by 30 goal, which is the goal that the state has, that 60% of our state will have some sort of post-secondary degree by the year 2030. So that's obviously we're doing our part.
What year did you say?
So the 60 by 30 goal is a goal that the state has to have 60% of our state. I believe the ages are between 24 and 34 or something like that. I don't spit it off the top of my head, but to have a degree by the year 2030.
Okay, that's the year I missed. Okay.
And this has also potential for more CCMR outcome bonus money to our district. Because when you have students that get industry certifications and they have the TSI passed, you get to double up and we get more CCMR outcome bonus money for our district, which allows us to provide more programs for our students.
So this is current as of March 1st. Taking a look at the junior and senior levels at each of the campus high schools. 12th grade at WHS, 584 students. And some of this data, it's a moving target, like I was saying. So we've got a couple of systems that we're using to track the students and where we're currently meeting right now. With AP exams, TSI, dual credit, we're sitting at about 52% at the high school. So I've got a slide on here. I think it's the next one that has the latest report card that shows our number on there, and it was from 2019. I'm going to skip down to that real quick, actually. I apologize. This is a little out of order for me. Just to give you an idea of where we were a couple of years ago, 69%. So some of the indicators that are on this report right here, the very last one is one that's been a changing target for the last couple of years. So students that were in a CTE coherent sequence of classes, that used to count as 1 point. So the way this works is if a student hit TSI, as they go down the list from top to bottom, the student would come off of that list. A student could potentially earn more than 1 point, but they're only counted once. So if a student has met TSI off the top, then they automatically come off that list. And as you go down to the bottom, CTE coherent sequence used to count as a whole point. It was 1 point, and now it will go away this year. So this measure will not even show up on there at all. So that target right there, like I was saying, is constantly changing. So we've got to get more creative with the ways that we're targeting our students to make sure that they do leave us with something. WHS, I met with Ms. Noonkester today, and she was really concerned that there's one student on there. I think it's just a timing issue. So 100% of their seniors are currently at CCMR. So I wanted to make sure to throw that out there. Mr. Lynch, Ms. Noonkester, your students have met CCMR. And we're already looking ahead at our current juniors. We just pulled a report also. We've got a number of sophomores and freshmen that have already met CCMR as well. So we're going to keep working on that and address that earlier on so that we're not chasing students towards the end of the spring of their senior year. Ideally, would like to capture a lot of this in sophomore and junior year, if not sooner. So with TSI, if a student's going to take a dual credit class, we can start taking the TSI exam before they go and take those tests or classes, excuse me. I'm just a... Yes, ma'am. So as far as accountability in CCMR, they count one time, but if a student does two things, that's where the outcomes bonus changes. So like Dr. Averett said, if a student takes and is successful in the TSI and they've earned an industry-based certification, that counts as one student, but they can earn outcomes bonus money because they've met that indicator two different ways. Some of the ways that students can demonstrate CCMR, I listed those on here for you, kind of high level. I didn't put all the scores in there. TSI has changed as of the beginning of January of this year. So there's a couple of different ways within TSI that a student can meet CCMR. AP classes, students that are earning dual credit, if you take 3 hours of English, language arts, or reading, or 9 hours in a CTE course, they can earn their CCMR indicator that way. So we have a number of courses within CTE that might not lead to a certification, but it leads to dual credit. So cosmetology is actually one where they can get both. Welding is one where they can get both. They can earn their certification and their 9 hours in dual credit. So we've got a number of areas where we're kind of doubling our efforts. Criminal justice, our students earn dual credit college hours from that course. And then the educational aid is a new one that we just added on there. The level 1, level 2 certifications, that's where in welding and cosmetology, if they've completed 9 hours in a certain area, they earn that level 1 certification. Go back to that card.
So basically, are there any questions from this report or from our proposal, any questions or any concerns? This would be one we would lag. We wouldn't, obviously, it's not going to affect the current seniors because we can't change that, and it won't affect seniors next year. It'll start with the juniors next year. So give them a year to to get ramped up with that. And hopefully, if they would like to have that off period or 2 off periods, it will encourage them to go ahead and get that CCMR point done. There's a lot of different ways to get that done. One of the quickest ways is the TSI test. And we are a TSI testing site on both our campuses, and our kids can take those, and they don't cost them anything. It doesn't cost them anything. We also offer on-campus SAT and ACT for our students as well. And we pay for their industry certs.
Any questions for Dr. Avery or Mr. Binnicker? No? Anyone? All right, great presentation, guys. Thank you very much. Okay, item D, application for TEA waiver for missed days. Is that you, Ms. Mott?
Actually, it's more a report unless you have questions.
Okay.
Not that she wouldn't be happy to go up there, but we're waiting to get more information from TEA. Andy got what we needed from the city. He got it to Ms. Mott. We're waiting for the official form. But TEA has indicated to us that the bar is low to get approved. Basically, if we have the records from the city, and that's why we didn't have school, and we have pictures like we did from that bus with the nursing home, we'll be able to take advantage of that.
Any questions on that? Okay, moving along. Item E, federal versus state funding trickle down. Mr. Calden?
Thanks, sir. Board, included in your packet on page 33 and 34 is just a summary of state funding and federal funding as it relates to this year and last year. Here to answer any questions you may have about that.
So all this that you're hearing, that all the money that was sent to the state, we didn't see, as Mr. Calden described here. And a lot of you are saying, what are our plans with the money we're going to get? Well, if we get the money, we'll have lots of plans, and we want the board to help to decide that. But don't assume, because you hear school districts are going to be getting X amount of money, that it will actually trickle down to us. Sometimes it gets to TEA and gets stuck.
Here today that kind of a plea that boards get involved and advocate for with our legislators for us to receive the funding passed forward.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what the consensus on the call Friday was, that boards need to step up and say, hey, we need this money passed on to us instead of staying at the state level.
Would you like for Ms. Bridges to write a sample letter and send it individually to each board member so they don't have to start from scratch? And maybe with the address, I mean, I okay.
I write letters to my representative senator all the time, but I do.
But sometimes it's nice if you kind of have a base and the addresses, Okay, well, okay.
I'll email them to Ms. Bridges.
Anything else for Mr. Calden?
We may send you 2 letters, one dated next week and one dated a month away.
You're off the hook on that one pretty easy.
Thanks, sir.
I've already written to you once.
Okay, item F, severe weather damage report. Mr. Gomez and Mr. Calden on this one.
Again, good afternoon, distinguished
You'll
board.
notice
Dr.
Andy's
King.
backing them both up, so that should tell you something.
Again, I'm very, very proud of our team. They've been working very, very hard on this report, especially Mr. Andy Reeves. So he'll be here today going ahead and filling us in on that report.
Ah, nice move, Ro.
Part of their training.
He's in training, right?
Good evening, everybody.
Oh, Andy, you can take off your mask because we need to record this.
From the dates of February 13th through the 20th, we as a district encountered many problems due to the extreme cold temperatures. Had a lot of leaks across the district, none too terrible, but the 2 facilities hit the hardest were Coleman Junior High and Lumpkin Stadium. All in all, we were very, very, very fortunate that we were able to contain leaks before they became a more severe problem. Just walking campuses and, seeing leaks and shutting off isolation valves, stuff like that. We're exceptionally proud of our staff who was able to, I guess, make a preemptive strike before all this happened. Covering hose bibs, sealing up doors, exterior stuff like that. It really, really, really made a big difference. We're exceptionally proud of them for doing all that. And because of that, we were able to open WSD 100% on Monday the 22nd. The week prior, hang on. The benefit of this advanced action was 10 of our 15 campuses, along with support services and administration, sustained 0 leaks and 0 damage. It is our belief that it is because of this diligent work by our support services staff that enabled us to weather the storm.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Pun intended.
Pun intended. Thank you.
Again, any questions that y'all would like for us to answer? Again, very, very proud of our team. They're pre-planning before the storm. They're actually walking campuses during the height of the storm. Impressive. I couldn't have found a better staff anywhere in the world. So thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to work with you.
And the proof was, we started school Monday. There are some schools that are still not.
There's a lot of schools that were delayed. We were one of the only ones around that we're 100%.
Well, but when you talk to some of them, they didn't do anything before like we did. You guys went out there before and said, shut this stuff down and drain these things while we can. And you talk to these other districts, and they said, we didn't think it was going to be that bad.
And Andy almost had a heart attack when I told him. I said, well, before we left, we said, okay, we're going to go ahead and turn on all the all the heaters and leave them running 24/7. And he said, oh my God, it's going to be amazing.
The energy guy.
It will be amazing.
But I think that really helped us weather the storm, shutting off the valves, winterizing all our campuses. I mean, the team functioned like a well-oiled machine. I am very, very proud of each and every one.
Good job, Mike.
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Okay. This is the coaches, the boys' coaches' showers at Coleman.
Is this at Coleman or is this at Lumpkins?
This is at Coleman.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a supply line pop right above the ceiling, drip down into the dill. Luckily, it's in a shower, so everything kind of went down the drain. So we got really lucky with a lot of these leaks because they were in spots where we either had floor drains or they were on like exterior stuff, stuff like that. We had, I think, 2 leaks in all that were actually in like a classroom area, or in the school itself. So we got really, really lucky in that aspect. It's the same one. We pulled that carpet up. It needed to be pulled up anyways, to be honest with you. That water line kind of trickled into that office from the shower. This is on the north side restrooms. It's in the girls' restroom. We had a supply line break in the wall, and we ended up having to cut the stucco on the back side of the wall to be able to get to it. And we have it covered for now. We're working on patching the stucco. So, any questions on that one? Coleman kitchen laundry room. Just an exposed pipe. It's insulated now. And this was in it wasn't on an outside wall, but it was in an area that was not HVAC controlled. So that pretty much contributed to that breaking. The one on the right is the sped storage room. And it was kind of the same thing. That's that that storage room that nobody really goes in, and it's HVAC controlled, but it's not like the rest of the school. So, that was why that one popped, and that was on an outside wall, on a northern outside wall, and that's how the wind was hitting. So, this is in the Coleman computer lab in the library. It's a roof leak. It had a roof drain coming down, and it was just leaking through the seams just because there was just so much on top of it. And it didn't really do a whole lot of damage, just a couple ceiling tiles, but I just wanted to throw it in here, and it has been addressed. So, okay, Lumpkin Stadium was like the Bellagio. So, on the left we had a 20-foot piece of 6-inch for the fire suppression system that pretty much shot out the side, and they had to replace that entire pipe. We had, I believe, 5 or 6, I think it was 5 heads pop pretty much across the home side bleachers, which, we kind of expected that one, or I kind of expected that once it got down to -2, there was just no way to stop it. The domestic water leaks for Lumpkins, we had on the top left, that is the north home side bathrooms. And I apologize for some of these pictures because it was so crazy. We didn't get like stuff as it was happening. It's more after the fact. But we had a supply line break in that wall right there. We had to break some of the wall to be able to get to it. And then on the top middle, that is the visitors' bathrooms on the south end of the field. Same thing, had a supply line break in the wall, so we had to break some stuff. Had to take some mirrors off the wall, so we'll have to replace those mirrors. The top right is the not the head coaches, but the coaches' dressing room, and that wasn't necessarily a leak. It was a leak, but it wasn't. It was creeping down from the leak up top, from the one on the top left. So that was, you can see the discoloration in the ceiling right there. So that's going to have to be torn out and redone. Bottom left, that sink had a supply line on the bottom that burst. That's been fixed. By the way, I just wanted to say, well, they're gone now, but Frank and Jesse are amazing people. They are amazing people. I just wanted to say that. This is the bottom middle is that storage area underneath the bleachers. There's two. There's the bathrooms on one side, and then you have Greg Reed's office on the other side. And this is going up the ladder. It's just a hose bib that we added after the fact, and it just came apart because of ice. The bottom right is the north end home side concession stand, and we had, if you see that stainless steel sink right there, it had some supply lines pop in it because of ice. I'm sorry, any questions? I'm just kind of flying through this. The big one was the Finley boiler. We had a galvanized plate off of, if you look on the left-hand side, the boiler closest to you, that just erupted, and the good thing about it was we were there. Well, let me flip to this. This next one is in the field house. And we entered the field house first, saw there was water everywhere. This is the circulator line for the water heater for the field house. And it came apart due to ice, and it flooded the whole weight room side of the field house. So me and Mr. Mott, we entered there first, and saw that there was just water everywhere, so we immediately ran to the front of the building and turned the entire building off, period. And then the next day, we came back just to make sure that the building itself was okay. And as soon as we turned everything back on, we came around the back side, and you can kind of see in the left-hand side, there's some louvered doors back there. Water was just shooting out the back of that door. I mean, it was a lot of water. So we were able to contain that and immediately go back and shut everything back off. And it was only on for 3 or 4 minutes, as opposed to, hours and hours and hours, days, if we weren't walking the building. So that was extremely, extremely lucky that we did that. And all this has been replaced, by the way. These boilers are gone. We have new stuff in there now. They actually got the green tag from the city this morning, and all that's cool. And the new ones are a lot more energy efficient. They're going to use less gas, so it's going to be pretty neat for that boiler system.
One thing.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I just want to thank the accounting department, Mr. Calden, for getting us a emergency purchase order. Without that, we'd have had difficulties everywhere. So thank you, sir, very much for assisting. It was a team effort. It was amazing.
Very much so. Very much so. Okay, Finley Field House. A special thanks go to Ray Graham with Infinity Plumbing. Not only did he help us out getting parts when we could not find anything anywhere, he also took it upon himself to help us out with some of the leaks at Richards Park, which I think he said was seven of them, and fixed them for, basically nothing. So very, very special thanks to him. This is just one of the leaks, and you can't really you hardly see anything, but there was a lot of them.
Ms. Reeves, you talked about all the damages, but what about the equipment? Did we lose a lot of equipment, computers?
I have that in the end of it. Yeah, we really didn't lose hardly. Other than the boilers at Finley, I was very, very, very happy with our electrical systems. We didn't lose one main breaker. We didn't lose anything other than our, some copper pipes, and of course the Finley boilers. We really didn't have anything that, of note.
And Mr. Krieger, I did ask Mr. O'Daniel about the technology room at Coleman, and they were able to dry some things out and rob some parts, and he said, of course, he said, I was relieved we didn't lose so much, but I don't know exactly what he was expecting to lose. But I think he was pleased that, like some of the cases kept the water just splashed off of it instead of leaking in. Some of them, they got leaked, but it wasn't anything like. When you hear water's in the computer lab, your worst nightmares.
Yes, that's my concern. Thank you.
We had a few campuses with some hose bibs on the outside that busted. We had one at Felty on the backside by the riser room. And by the way, we had no problems with any riser room, by the way. So that was a big, big plus. Howard Junior High had a hose bib that was broken in the back courtyard. We isolated that, and that's all good. Dunaway had one broken in the front walkway. And we also had a line that was busted going from the technology building to the textbook warehouse. And it was an outside line. It was leaking outside, so there wasn't any damage inside. And that was an easy fix too. That was a $20 fix. So, super, super lucky on, a lot of this stuff. Although we had our fair share of leaks and damage across the district, if you compare WISD to the surrounding districts, it was extremely minimal. We are proud to say that most of the district was not affected by the cold temperatures. The following campuses were not affected by the storms: Shackford Elementary, Northside Elementary, Clift Elementary, Wyman Elementary, Turner Pre-K, Marvin Elementary, Waxahachie High School, Simpson Elementary, Global High School, Wedgeworth Elementary, Administration, and Support Services. The silver lining in all this craziness is we now know our weaknesses and are taking steps to correct them. If and when this happens again, we will be more prepared to handle it. And this right here is the, did you want to talk about this? I'm sorry. This is the damage report that I made up, and it has support services costs at the top. And it's $57,840 total. And that is it's a rough estimate, but it's pretty close, if that makes sense. There's still some stuff, we used a plumber for some stuff, and all the craziness, I'm sure they're still, trying to get us invoices, but I have rough estimates on all that stuff. And just to put that in perspective, I have a friend that his house flooded, and it's costing him $30,000. So all the campuses, 15 campuses and countless buildings that we have, $60,000 is pretty unbelievable to me. And here's the technology damage at the bottom. They had 2 charging carts that I think that they had to replace due to some of the leaks, and it looked like 2 laptops, and that was it. So pretty astonishing in my opinion.
No, I think, to me, the reason that we were able to contain damage was because we pre-planned. When we found out that it was going to be this cold, using past experience and everything, we actually went out. We tried to winterize everything that we possibly could. We did find out a lot of things about our buildings, especially Coleman, where some of the pipes are running through the concrete walls on the outside, and those, we didn't even know the pipes were running through that concrete. So when the concrete, got extremely cold, the pipes just froze and burst. So we did learn a lot of very helpful things, because we know this is going to happen again, whether it happens in a couple of years or whether it happens in 20 or 30 years. Hopefully our notes, our matrix that Andy is keeping up with will give everybody else a guideline as to where the problem areas are and where we can go ahead and hit them off before they become an issue again. Thank you very much, Board.
So when did you guys start winterizing? I mean, we had school on Friday.
We started.
That's Saturday, remember?
I think we started on Monday or Tuesday of the previous week of the storms.
So you were able to do some of it while the buildings were occupied?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we did, just covering hose bibs and sealing up doors and, just stuff like that. Really, really helped out a lot. So, and there's things we can do in the future. There's a couple doors like the door off of the Finley Boiler Room. It's got them louvers like I was telling you about, that the water was shooting out of them. Those need to be sealed up, and we need to take those doors out, seal them all up, and make them solid metal doors and stuff like that.
The pipes over at Coleman, since we now know where the cutoff valves are and everything, we can go back in there, cut them off, drain the pipes, make sure that they're all drained out, so next time it gets that cold or close to that temperature, the pipes will be just fine. Go ahead and open them up as soon as the temperature gets warmer. So, like I said, we learned a lot. We've got Andy's working on a report that he doesn't know about yet. We're going to be able to put everything down. We're going to pinpoint everything, all the problems that we have around the district. We're going to get them all down on paper and add them to our matrix and make sure that everybody that follows us knows exactly where the problems are and can address them.
Thank you, guys. Without you guys' organization, we would probably be in a lot worse shape than we were.
I just wanted to say,
The
number
entire
one,
department.
yeah, number one, that's incredible, the dollar amount and the effort y'all put forth, and we appreciate it. You take the boilers away, you're looking at 15 grand.
Mm-hmm.
And I know personal loss is greater than that with single-family residents, so great job on that. Number two, Mr. Call, I'm assuming this doesn't warrant an insurance claim, that amount?
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item G, Simpson expenditure total report. Calden?
He's back. Board, tonight you have a couple of items in your consent agenda and wanted to kind of give you a little heads up on what's included in those. So I have the third installment of We're Done at Simpson and releasing of retainage. And this one comes with an asterisk. So we're done at Simpson, except we have a couple of road connections that we can't make right now because the roads are not in around Simpson at that point. So what we're asking at this point is to, well, A, celebrate the good news that Simpson has done. Other good news, Simpson came in under budget, so we're excited about that. We saved about $130,000 from unspent contingencies within the overall cost of the project, and about $90,000 in construction savings. So various bid out projects that came in under what our estimates were. So all told, there was about $222,000 worth of savings from the original gross maximum price or guaranteed maximum price of $20,800,000. So one item tonight is the reconciliation of that is to get you to approve the guaranteed maximum final price of $20,577,266. The reason this is important is because that's what the fees are based off for the contractor and for the architect. So this sets the final amount, and there will be reconciliations of those fees that are due to them off of that. It also stipulates that the project is done from their standpoint, so that gets them off the hook with their bonding contractor. We are going to set aside $45,000. It's our best guess right now as the cost to make those road connections from our parking lots to the actual roads when they're put in. We are working with the concrete contractor to come back when those roads are in place to do that. That's our best guess at this point, but we believe it's a pretty accurate guess. So all in, we're looking at about $400,000 of funds still sitting there from that Simpson project. Mostly through investment earnings, some of that also through some of these cost savings in the actual construction of the project. So within that, I'm asking the board to consider 3 projects tonight that we as a district would like to tackle, and we would be utilizing these funds with your blessings to go and do that. The first would be to continue our security camera conversions. So right now we have analog security cameras on 3 campuses. The others are all digital. Digital is a much better picture, and it's more reliable as they go back to review it to actually see what was going on. So we would like to spend $101,000 of these funds to complete the digital conversion of security cameras across the district. We would also like to spend about $50,000 for completing a secured entrances project. So we have secured entrances at our campuses, but on some campuses, they don't have the second layer of security into the actual classroom area. So that door either gets propped open or someone gets up and goes to open the door multiple times a day. So we've got a quote at this point, roughly $50,000 to go in and make double secured entrances on either side where it would be button release for students and staff to walk through from the secured campus area to the office area and back and forth. And then a final project, it's actually 2 projects, renovations of library spaces at Wedgeworth and at Shackelford. Current budget right now, guesstimate, is about $140,000 to renovate those, but we have been going campus to campus and trying to make some renovations of those elementary library spaces, and these were the next 2 on the list. And so with some available funds in these bond funds, we'd like to go ahead and try to tackle that project with your permission. This would not fully expend all of those bond funds. We would still probably have somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 left in those bond funds, and that honestly is being set aside for what happens when the concrete contractor comes back and wants to connect those roads. So I anticipate coming back to you later and saying we still have some more money in that old Simpson bond that we would like to spend on something else, but for right now, because I don't have a bid on that, I have a best guess. I'm not comfortable with asking you to spend all those funds.
Any questions for Mr. Calden? Good.
That's always a positive to know that we have, leftover bond funds, and hey, look, we're doing something with them. So that's good news.
Yes, ma'am.
They require a motion? Okay.
But that's on the consent.
No, to be on consent.
And so we're going to take the questions now.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Calden.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, moving on, board, our next item is our consent agenda. We have items A through K. I had initially been asked to remove item E, but I think that probably answered the questions for item E. So I was asked to remove action item I. So if there's any other individual items that would like to be removed from the consent agenda, yes, item I. So we're going to take that one and approve it individually. So if everyone is okay with consent agenda items A through H, J, and K, I will entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Schofield, second by Ms. Kriegel. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, consent agenda, item I, consideration with possible action to award construction manager at risk contract for 2021 bond project. I believe Mr. Craig can answer. There was a couple of questions, I believe. Maybe Mr.
Yeah, I'd ask this item to be removed with the $127 million bond proposal. I couldn't think of a better person to articulate our selection for potentially completing these projects. So I just was curious how we arrived at Buford Thompson and our experience with them at Simpson. If you would.
I'd be happy to. Thank you. Good evening, board. Myself and Mr. Calden and Mr. Alvenshine reviewed all of the applicants that we've received and spent quite a lot of time going through all of those and came up with Buford Thompson as our pick, our recommendation to you. I could personally say that BTC has been wonderful to work with. And even, any new building, as the first year and you're going through everything that you're breaking it in, if you will, I have yet to call them that they're not right there. And they've got someone there, they're repairing it, even through all of the cold weather, all through the COVID, and you notice there weren't any problems at Simpson through the cold weather and all the ice. And I think we have developed a really, really great relationship with them. Not to say that we haven't or couldn't with the other ones, because we could. But we feel with the budget that they turned in and with our experience that we've had with them being positive, very positive, that's how we arrived at that decision.
Just the whole scope of what we're talking about, they would be able to handle the whole gamut.
It's my opinion that they can, and I know they have a lot of resources. I know they, depending on what we do in the sequence that we end up doing it in, but I think they can handle it absolutely. That's my opinion, but I think that's based upon a couple of years of experience with them now. So I think they can do it.
Well, that's comforting. That's what I was looking for, is more of just how we arrived at that decision.
Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for consent agenda I.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rogers, second by Mr. Schofield. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, item number 9, action item A. Consideration with possible action to approve the 2021-2022 academic calendar.
This is totally Miss Mont's
Miss Mont.
baby, let me tell you. did we start? Okay, we started working on this November 16th.
Yes, and let's hope that this one goes a lot smoother this year, for next year, than this year has gone. We started with about 6 calendars. Some of them were developed by campuses, some of them were developed here at administration. All the campus calendars that were developed that met the criteria were put out for the vote. We were able to narrow it down to 2 choices then from there. We had 524 votes in the second round of voting in the runoff. 315 of those votes went for calendar C that is being presented to you tonight, so that left about 209 for calendar E. So tonight we are bringing to you calendar C for your consideration and approval. Oh, yes. So if you'll remember the ongoing saga of the 2021 calendar, and we came back to you several times, and the last time that we came back to you, we were in the mode of trying to bank days in fear of COVID shutdowns. You know, we were going into the unknown. And we had several days already built in. We backed up the date that we started school and added a few more days in. And then in addition, we added 10 minutes to every day to bank an additional 4 days. So we ended up with like 9, 10 additional days added into the calendar this year. So we did make a commitment to our teachers at that time that we were adding the 10 minutes, but that we would be taking those 10 minutes back, giving them back to the teachers into this next calendar for 21-22. So when we added the 10 minutes, we moved elementary to go from a 3:10 dismissal to a 3:20 that we've been operating on this year. So we'd be looking at going back to 3:10 for next calendar year. At the secondary level, we had traditionally gotten out at 3:55. We added 10 minutes to the end of their day as well. And this year they are releasing at 4:05. So we would like to back that up again to the original end date, which was 3:55 for next year. So it goes back to a 450-minute day, which is what we had been for a couple of years prior to this calendar year, this school year. This calendar does bank time. Remember, 75,600 is the state minimum that we must have students in instruction. This calendar that I'm presenting to you tonight has 77,220 minutes in there, and those came in really handy, those extra that we had. We didn't need them for COVID, thank goodness, but we had the Wildman incident with the transformer that went down. We had enough minutes to absorb that. We did have the one snow day that we are not getting a waiver for because it was purely due to ice roads and not the electrical outages. We were able to absorb those minutes as well this year. So having those extra minutes, we absorbed them. We didn't even have to use our bad weather days this year. So it's nice to be over the minimum. Gives you a lot of flexibility, and it's a maximum benefit for our students.
Yes. I did hear many comments, and everybody liked the calendar. The only thing I did hear a couple of concerns about the 2 in-service days, 2 additional and a half in March because of the nearness to state testing for next year. Because it's like we're taking 7.5 days, which of course part spring break, but that's the only concern I heard at all.
Right, and I do understand that concern. That was one of my concerns as this calendar came in. This was a campus-developed calendar. This was not an administrative. I will say I can find a silver lining in that, and that will give our teachers time to work with our curriculum department on those 2 days in order to do some last-minute preparations for testing, to get groups organized, to get some intervention materials together right before that big push before state testing. So if I got to find a silver lining in that, I'll find you that one.
Right, and like I said, I only had a couple of people express that, and I looked, and it looks like they'll have 8 days to prepare for the testing, except for if they're in telepass, because I did study that.
Right.
But yes, like I said, everybody was pleased, other than just had a couple express.
And I don't know that there's a calendar out there without a wart, as Dr. Kane would say. They have all got a wart or 2.
Any other questions, comments on the proposed calendar?
At the time that I did this, it was a possibility to adjust the homecoming date. But since then, I did see an email come out from Coach Reed that that is the homecoming date. So we guessed well.
Good job.
I don't know that. I didn't check it that far, but that is the actual homecoming date. But good question. Thank you, Ms. Starnander.
Thank you.
October the 22nd.
There ain't no more questions or comments from Ms. Mott. I'll entertain a motion to approve the academic calendar of 2021-2022 as presented. Motion by Ms. Kriegel. Second by Mr. Schofield. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, action item B, consideration for possible action to approve a one-time stipend for all employees.
Yes, sir. President and board, the past 12 months have had a profound impact on us all. It was this time last year that we were just really beginning to realize what was to come. We're a year from that now. Our daily routines and habits were altered along with our abilities to deliver instruction using traditional methods. I think we learned that instruction online is overrated, and although it's very interesting and has a lot of clever things for kids, the difficulty is getting the rigor there. And that is not a problem unique to Waxahachie, because everyone's calling us to find out if we figured out how to get rigor on online learning. I think ultimately someday technology software will solve that. But right now, it is clear that students belong in classrooms and teachers belong in front of those students. Yet we still had online learning. We started off with 34%. We now have 3.6%. We're trying to finish the year. This has been very difficult on our teachers. It's been a long year. We were able to get for pre-K through 8th grade, you either taught online or you had face-to-face. But at the high school, we were not able to do that, and that is a very, very difficult task to do. Teaching's already difficult on any one platform, but to deal with two simultaneously is almost too much to ask. The curriculum office, it's been amazing how many people have had to go cover classes in this room, and if you'll notice, most of them are administrators, that because we did not want to go online. And it takes a couple of days to get set up online, so if you need to be out of school 2 or 3 days, about the time you get the teachers and the students and the devices going, it's time to come back to school. So our principals worked extra hard. We had PE teachers covering classes, we had librarians, we had aides, we had Jacob Perry, we had David A. We've had probably everybody in this room. You couldn't find Derek because he was always teaching some class. And everyone really stepped up to the plate to make this happen. So, the modifications did give a physical, mental, and emotional toll. So I'm asking the board for consideration and approval to provide and thank you, Mr. Calden, for working really hard to be able to make this happen. Provide a one-time stipend for all staff members in recognition of their extraordinary efforts to teach, protect, and serve all the students of Waxahachie ISD over the past 14-plus months. And what this would be for each employee who has started work as of this coming up March, not last March, this coming up March. A net after-taxes stipend of $500 is proposed for each half-time, proposed for full-time, and for each half-time or less employee, a net after-taxes stipend of $250 is proposed. Every employee as of March 31st would receive a stipend. The stipends would be paid via direct deposit on Friday, April 9th. Mr. President.
Okay. I was going to read part of the resolution, but
I didn't steal your thunder, did I?
no,
Okay,
yes,
good.
that's okay. That's okay.
You never want to steal the board president's thunder.
It's not about me. So, but I do believe you covered the amounts, the time frame, and whatnot. So, are there any questions or comments?
I would just like to say that our teachers and all of our staff have put forth such an extraordinary effort this year that this is well-deserved, and then I feel like every penny is well-deserved for this year.
Senator?
Yes, I think this is an appropriate time to commend all of our staff for, in my opinion, having lots of courage to, of course, number one, go ahead and start school in August when we did, and then come back to in-person learning. If you watch the news, there's still schools.
Isn't that incredible?
I mean, that is just
They're trying to figure out how to have school,
unbelievable.
and we're talking about having the prom and graduation.
Yeah, there's still places where kids are not in school. So to me, that shows that in this community, we do put kids first. So congratulations to everybody for working so hard.
I mean,
I appreciate that as a parent.
tonight, I think we saw accumulation of what the entire district is composed of. I mean, you saw bus drivers being recognized because of what they did. You obviously saw our support staff who, I mean, went above and beyond what anyone could ever imagine. We're able to reward, as I call them, the unsung heroes. The teachers and administration get all the credit, but the unsung heroes got recognition tonight.
I also heard there was an unsung hero who brought pizza to the custodians
over there.
who were working on Saturday, two unsung heroes
He's
who
sitting
brought
right there.
pizza to the custodians because they saw them working and wanted to make certain they had lunch. Did you hear anything about that?
I think Dr. Averett did that. But I also want to thank the administration and the staff, because I know Mr. Calden, his staff, worked diligently on coming up with the number and making this happen. I know that wasn't easy, but I believe that you guys need to be recognized too. And it's just a small token of the entire board's appreciation that we're able to approve this. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve item 9B as presented by Dr. King.
I happily, extremely happily, move to approve item number 9B as presented by Dr. Kane and President Autry.
And I second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Timmerman, I have a second by Ms. Kriegel. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, Board.
And our last item of business, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Schofield.
And I think Ms. Bridges is sending that out right now.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rogers. Hold on. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 6-0.
I never hear a nay when it comes time to cancel the meeting.